Tommy, presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 and you use the promo code welcome one and all to Light Years. My man, if there was ever a night for a Surfside, I feel like it is playoff season right now.
Yeah, that was fun basketball, man. Stressful, high intensity. Both teams absolutely brought it for all 48 minutes. Like that was a playoff level basketball game. But it was a great one to win. There would be a lot different mood on this pod right now if the Warriors hadn't been able to pull that out. But obviously Steph was electric, but that's also down the stretch of that game, the entire game. That's why you trade for Jimmy Butler, man.
Dude, were you afraid they were going to lose? Obviously, they beat the Memphis Grizzlies 134-125. Where were your emotions? Because I'll tell you where I was, but I want to hear where you were first.
I was pretty confident considering how most of the second half had gone. Because Memphis really outplayed them for probably the first 18 to 20 minutes of that second half. Really couldn't get stops outside of that little stretch where Memphis went cold in the fourth quarter. But there's a different sense of calm with this team late in games since Jimmy came over. And, that's why the record with Steph and Jimmy playing, I think, is now 18-2, So there's just a different sense of confidence. And like I said, calm and composure and poise in those late game situations since Jimmy's joined the team. And so all things considered, despite not playing great for a majority of the second half, I actually felt very confident.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because that's how I felt. Because, Steph, you shouldn't do this at 37. We'll talk about it in a couple of minutes, but honestly, I want to get this out first. When he comes out that hot, I'm like, oh, yes, and they're up big. And then the Grizzlies, to their credit, played an excellent game, got back into it. And when they took the lead in the third, traditionally I'd be like, fuck, it's over. But I never wavered in confidence. And it was the first game that I really was thinking to myself, I believe in this team. I believe in this team top to bottom. I believe that they can win any game. I'm not saying they're a perfect team. I'm not saying they don't have flaws. I'm not saying they can't be exploited at times. And we saw some of them tonight. It's that I believe that they have championship kind of just dog mentality in them. And it's not just Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, although it certainly starts and none of it happens without those three guys. It's like Moody, Pods, Quentin Post, Guy Santos, obviously three-time champion Kevon Looney. It's up and down the line where you're just like, dude, these guys may get beat, but they will not quit on a game, if you know what I'm saying. That's the thing. It's like dog up and down.
Earlier in the season, if they get out to that big lead, and there's this weird thing in the NBA now where I almost don't like to get out to a big lead because there's just so much variance that occurs within a game now with all the 3-point shooting and just how hot teams can get. And, you go up by 15 in the first quarter, I think it was 17 in the first quarter. And it's like, well, Memphis is probably going to get hot at some point. They do. But like you're saying, in that third quarter when they went down earlier in the season before the trade, that is the moment where they absolutely melt down. They lose that game by probably 10 to 15 points. You're like, what the hell happened? Or they blow it late. But I just have such a different feeling with this team. Everybody on the team is so bought in. Everybody is like, everybody knows their role to a T. Like, absolutely. There's no questions about agendas or who should be doing what, who should be filling what role. And they won. Memphis shot the crap out of the ball for most of that game, but the Warriors won so many 50-50 balls a night, so many tough rebounds, so many possessions that were kept alive by a Guy or a Looney or a Pods or Steph or Jimmy, where they're just creating these extra possessions throughout a game that help you win a game like that. And yeah, I really don't have, like you said, they might get out talented at some point, but if they lose, it will not be because they didn't fight till the absolute bitter end.
Pods and Moody, to me, were subpar most of the game. Pods more than Moody. Bad games, rough games, on the road against a playoff team in a playoff atmosphere. Not surprising, young guys. It's not the same as Sacramento, by the way, enjoy not making the playoffs. But I hope you enjoyed that fucking A's whatever in Sacramento. Good luck, motherfuckers. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going to that. By the way, what I was gonna say though is, so they looked every bit the young parts, and both of them had insanely key plays down the stretch, which is all I need to see. Pods, nightmare first half, three foul trouble pretty much all game, can't hit a shot. The opposite of the last game where he couldn't miss a shot. Didn't stop him. That tip in over Jaw, like, to keep fighting through a game when you've been well below your standards all game tells me everything I need to know about this team. And then Moses Moody hit what we can call it the game sealing shot. I think that was the kind of the game sealing shot right there. Corner three. He knows the ball's coming to him. He knows he has to hit it. Like, a lot of pressure. And I mean, it tells me, like I said, I believe in these guys. And again, it starts with Steph and Draymond, who are the proven champions. We know they compete in every moment. And Jimmy Butler's exactly what they needed. Just another guy who can match their energy. By the way, how terrified did you get when Edie fell on his ankle?
Oh my God. The season flashed before my eyes. I was like, not now, not in this moment.
Right. And it's like, and that's the heavy lifting, having guys who've been in every moment and, give the team confidence, but having young guys who are mentally tough enough to go along for the ride and kind of play through it. Like, they feel like a real team to me. They've had this team for 25 games now?
Yeah.
24, something in that range. They're going to end up playing 31 games with Jimmy Butler at the end of the season. So forgive me if I'm one game off on the math, but the point is, in this 20 to 25 game span, they feel like they've come together like a real team. And I buy in to this team's identity. Like, I feel like I keep repeating this point, but because I'm just juiced off of what was a great fucking game.
Yeah, and it was obvious from the open tip. I was talking to a bunch of Warriors fans throughout the day, and the negativity started to seep in. Oh, they're gonna blow this game. Some random guy's gonna hit 12 threes, this and this, and like, all the stuff that's happened over the past couple of years through just some tumultuous times relative to what we've come to expect over the dynasty. But I had, like I said, I had kind of a nice confidence coming into the game, and from the opening tip, I mean, they were ready to go. You could see it in Dre's eyes, you could see it in Steph's eyes, you could see it in everybody's eyes, and I think that's maybe the biggest difference, and this is kind of what you're pointing to as well, just the mentality and the confidence approaching these type of games, whereas in the past, for the past 2.5 years, really, you didn't know what type of performance you were going to get in this game. And if they would have lost tonight, it would have been incredibly disappointing. But at the same time, it wouldn't have been for like lack of focus, lack of effort, lack of care. And that was something that we had to question with this team through the past 30 months.
Yeah, they're not soft anymore.
No.
They traded, they made trade. They get one of the players who, like, hey, whatever you think of Jimmy, soft is certainly not the word that ever will come to mind, And like I said, it's the dog emoji, dog in the chest. That's what this team is. They might be too small. They may run into situations where you're like, you know what? It would be really nice to have a 6'10" guy, like that sort of thing. But they're an honorable team. Honorable is the word that comes to mind. Like, I'm in on this team, and I'm not going to write them off, because when you have this level of talent, we have Steph Curry. When you have a healthy Draymond Green, a healthy Jimmy Butler, and a healthy Steph Curry, you got a chance in any game. And you know what? We buried the lead enough. Let's talk about fucking number 30. Sorry, there's a lot to get to, but getting his triple double low key robbed from him, by the way, with that Jimmy hanging on the he was the correct call, by the way.
Yeah,
but 52, 10 and 8 with 5 steals. If I gave you that stat line, you would think a 6'9" wing.
Yeah.
It's just otherworldly. Like, he's 37 years old. He should not be able to do this. A 37-year-old at any position should not be able to do this. Like, every day is someone like fucking, talking about LeBron's age, and that's, I can't believe he's doing this age. This guy's doing it 7 inches shorter and infinitely less athletic. We'll never see anything like it.
They flashed the broadcast flashed the stat right towards the end of the game. I think Steph was shooting his last 2 free throws to get to 52. Most 50-point games past the age of 35. He's got 10 now Wilt Chamberlain has 7. And that tells you if there is a scoring
Sure.
record and you are above Wilt Chamberlain, that is the most rarefied air possible because like outside of Jordan, it's really Wilt who has all the scoring records.
Well, it's like Babe Ruth,
Yes.
like it's like with baseball where, oh wow, Barry Bonds. Oh wow. And then you look at the record book and this guy in the 20s did a bunch of stuff that like feels fake because he was ahead of his time. That's how like the basketball record books are with Wilt, where you're just like, ooh, Kobe averaged 36 and had 81 in a game. And it's like, oh, he had 100 and he scored 50 for a season. Like it's not real. It's a different era, that sort of thing. But yes, to your point, anytime you're above Wilt in any category, it's unmatchable. And I don't know. I was talking to you about it. I'm curious your thoughts on this because I view Steph as there's two Stephs. There's dynasty era Steph, pre-pandemic Steph, a little skinnier, a little quicker, changed the game. Obviously, the linchpin of 3 titles in 4 years, 5 straight finals, and everything. No finals MVPs, like all that sort of stuff, right? And then there's post-pandemic Steph. He used the pandemic. He got jacked. He got huge. He looked like Desmond Bain for a minute there. Different player. But which one do you think is a better player?
It's a really interesting convo because I vacillate on it all the time. I change my mind. It seems like almost every day on this type of thing, or like anytime they play a game, because it was impossible to stay in front of, the pre-pandemic 2014 to 2017
unanimous MVP Steph. Yeah.
When he was healthy and he was right, there was nothing you could do to stay attached to his body. There was nothing you could do. But now it's just like it's so exacting and it's so precise. And he'll always have his step turnovers where like late in that game he almost just throws the ball out of bounds because Buddy Hield's not looking. He's always going to do that type of shit. It's never going away.
No comment.
Yeah, but yeah, it really what it feels like, especially because he did get an extended layoff, right? From essentially he breaks his hand that season following Durant leaving. He essentially gets 16 to 18 months off, right in that range before they have to play a season again because of the pandemic, because of the later start. And it feels like pre-baseball Jordan and post-baseball Jordan. Just in the way their games changed.
Different body.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan was relying on athleticism and quickness and obviously incredibly skilled at the same time. But then he comes back from baseball. He bulks up. He's obviously lost some of that pop, some athleticism. And Steph, relatively the same thing. But it just feels like, shoot, he shot 23s tonight. I don't think people understand how hard it is to get off 23s in an NBA game, let alone at his size and let alone how they were guarding him. He's being picked up full court all night. And it was just from the moment the ball was tipped, he was just locked in at a different level. And I don't know, man. When does this stop? I don't feel like this is like, I'm fooling myself into thinking this is just never going to stop. He's just going to be Tom Brady.
Oh, I've talked myself into him being Tom Brady. I will not hear otherwise at this point. But like, it's really what it feels like. And I think the thing I think about is the pre-pandemic, the mid-20s unanimous MVP version probably had better stamina on a full season basis. Didn't go through the lulls where he looked his age because he wasn't his age. He was 27, he's 28, that sort of thing, right? But this guy I'm taking this guy in a single game over that guy every time. 2022 game 4 against the Celtics. I don't know that pre-pandemic bulk up Steph does that. I don't know that he does. He's far scarier in an individual game scenario right now. And so, he picks his spots a little more. He's better. He's not in, he's in generally all in motion all game because that's his game, but it's a little more like I know how to, save myself for a couple possessions here or there. Whereas in 2016, it was like, I'm young. I can do whatever I want at all times. Right. That sort of thing. But it's also, to your point, he's stronger and he has a counter to every defense because he's faced every defense for 20 plus years. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like he's going to either make it or miss it. Your best case scenario is he decides to be an airhead and throw it away. That's like really your only opportunity. So this is my favorite Steph right now, but they're all great. It's not a, we don't need to take it that hard.
And I think there's just a greater appreciation for it now because he continues to
Yeah.
do it at his age, and especially when it looked kind of dark there for the end of last season and the beginning of this season. And I'd never really lost the faith. I was like, hey, just get him somebody else who can dribble the basketball and create some offense, and that was kind of my feeling for the entire time. But I mean, you look at this and his two biggest games this year now: 56 against Orlando, and now 52 against the Grizzlies. These are not against old, slow teams. Obviously, these teams are younger. Yeah, they're young. They're super athletic. They can fly out on the court. They have length, quickness. I mean, they can vertically challenge him. And obviously, those type of teams are going to get lost a little bit more defensively. Like you're maybe going to get a little bit more in the off-ball action. But at the same time, the knock would be at his age, it's going to be tougher for him to play against teams like this. And that is clearly not the case.
No, not at all. It's not the case at all. Like if anything, he rises to it. If anything, he's like, okay, you're young and athletic. I'm the old guy who knows every trick to take advantage of the fact that you're gonna jump a passing lane and give me the back door. Mm-hmm. You're gonna, good luck chasing me baseline as I come off two screens. You're gonna for sure screw this whole thing up. So yeah, it's amazing.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible. Did you play anything tonight?
I'm very mad because I was going to play, like I was feeling good about number 30. Mm-hmm. I always feel good about number 30. But sometimes these days, the feeling, you're like, oh, big game. Oh, and he sucked against Memphis earlier in the year. He's coming with a little extra juice. What was the line? Probably 27 or something, 25?
I checked it before the game. It was 26.5 just for points. And I want to say it was like 36.5 for points, rebounds, assists. I mean, I think he had that in the first quarter for the points, rebounds, assists. I'm pretty sure.
He definitely had the first half. He had 32 in the first half. So, I did not win, even though I was feeling good about it. And this is, don't be me. Make the play.
Yeah, exactly. Light Years podcast, as you guys know, is brought to you by Prize Picks. Springtime is here and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players in your Prize Picks lineups. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash today. And with the basketball playoff push here, now is the best time to join Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this summer. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports takes into real money all season long. The app is easy to use. So just to create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less. Again, just pick more or less on a few player stats for a shot to win. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 instantly when you play that first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Guys, time to get yourself into better shape. Time to see where your body's really at. You don't need to just stand on a scale. Scale's worthless. You need to get a DEXA scan. Our friends at Body Spec got you hooked up. You can get a DEXA scan for only $45. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate way to measure your body's composition. So it's not standing on a scale. It's finding out your body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, visceral fat, all the things that are real indicators of your health and important if you're going to start your fitness journey. So our friends at BuySpec, instead of making it $200, $300, $500 and hard to access, which is traditionally what it's been, they made it super accessible for everyone. Only $45 with the code LIGHTYEARS45. Locations in San Francisco and LA, mobile vans, literally, they'll come to you, scan, 15 minutes, results in your email. Start your fitness journey with Body Spec and the code LIGHTYEARS45. Whew, man. It really did feel like a playoff game because when it feels like a playoff game, like I feel like I need a cigarette afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that vibe. I don't know how else to put it. It's just like
I just need something to take the edge off, man.
Bro, it's like the Looney 3 now. By the way, Looney taking threes. Steve, we've been asking for a while. Thank you.
Kevon unleashed. Officially,
are you buying? So 2 games in a row he's taken threes. He has not taken threes for 4 years. He hasn't made a 3 since 2021 prior to the last game. And this one was like low-key kind of a high pivotal 3. Like it was in rhythm to the corner. I don't call it design play, but like they knew he was going to take that shot. And do you think he's going to start taking more threes? You think it's a part of it? Because like, look, we know they don't have great shooting now. Like with Jimmy, they're trying to generate shooting.
I mean, if he's in the corner and he's open, why not? You know what I mean? And especially if it's a late clock situation where clock's winding down, you're under 10, 8 seconds, this possession's kind of stalling out. He's going to be open. So it's just nice to have as a bailout option. Like he takes those 15 to 17 footers from time to time, which I'm okay with. But at this point, why not just extend it out to 3? Because he's shooting it at such a low volume anyway. Let's just try to tack the extra point on there. And tonight it was more like super late clock situation, baseline out of bounds, bailout, but it didn't look bad. And the one on Sunday didn't look bad either. So I'm totally open to it. It seems like they've been begging him to do it for years. The preseason report we got was that, oh, he's going to start taking threes this year. And then we get into the season.
I mean, I never believe every preseason been working on it. Steve's like, we want to take those. I don't buy it. You know,
it's the rifle successor to the David Lee. He's going to start shooting threes this year. It's the same exact thing.
But they kind of need him to, particularly I wonder if there's more urgency to it in a post Jimmy world, because it's not that Jimmy won't shoot threes, although he often doesn't. And it's not that he can't make them. It's that he's so good with the ball in his hands around the rim. You want him to be operating in one-on-one situations down there, which means you want shooters around him in general. So it's like, that's always the part that gets you. It's like, well, why doesn't Jimmy shoot more threes? It's like, well, it's a waste of Jimmy's talent if you have him just shooting. Those are bailout possessions. You want him having the ball at the rim, forcing a defender to decide, like, am I going to help and make him pass it, or am I going to let him play one-on-one? And if he plays one-on-one, it's free throws almost every time. And so I wonder if that forces Looney's urgency, because they didn't need him shooting threes in the pre-Jimmy Butler roster construct. Like Wiggins' best offensive trait was 3-point shooting. They got a bunch of threes up. They actually needed Looney to be kind of like a dribble handoff guy out of the post more. I'm wondering if it's a thing, and like selfishly, I'm wondering if it's a real thing, you know?
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't want to, dampen.
Am I wish casting this? Am I just like, I'm feeling good after that win, and now I'm here. I'm like, that Looney 5 3-pointer finals game. It's got, like, probably not happening, huh?
I think on a night like tonight, everything seems possible. But yeah, I don't know how real it'll ever be, and mostly because he's probably just not going to play enough minutes in a lot of matchups. But I mean, there will be the playoff game where we need him to play 30 minutes, and he'll come through like he typically does in those games. But it would be nice to, can you start taking 2 to 3 per 36 minutes? You know what I mean? If you're open in the corner and, like I said, late possession situation, sure, why not? Because a lot of the times, especially with lineups that include Looney, those late clock shots or those late shot clock situations, they don't generate anything great. It ends up getting like swung to Moody, who has to take a bailout shot, or Pods, or Jimmy has to take a bailout 3. So why not just take the wide open one at that point?
Yeah. No, it's not like he's let's be real. The possession where he missed like 3 putbacks, and then he got his own rebound each time. And it's not like he's a fucking force at the rim either. Yeah, amazing rebounder, Moses Malone, my man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still their leading rebounder on the season. He only played 10 minutes tonight. That's crazy. It felt like a lot more. It felt like he impacted the game way more than that, even though he's a -1.
Steve's throwing him out there when it matters, though. He's only playing 10 high leverage minutes. He's not getting garbage time. He was out there when Steve was like, I need to stop right now. I need to close a possession. Get out there, Looney.
Yeah, especially because Edey started to get some easy stuff around the rim. And I think the feeling was just, let's get a bigger body in there, somebody who's a little bit more experienced in post, even though obviously Quinton's a much more skilled player at this point, still inexperienced. And Post didn't shoot the ball great tonight, only 1 rebound, but I thought he battled despite all of that. And that's really what you're looking for, like you were alluding to earlier with Pods and Moody. You're just looking for these guys to battle and not disappear in these situations. And I didn't think any of the young guys did. But yeah, I mean, Loon, he really is. He has become not an entire luxury for this team, but he isn't, in the sense of you don't need him every single night during the regular season, but you can toggle to him in an important postseason matchup if you need defense, if you need rebounds, if you need stops, and the last couple of years they've been really reliant on him, and they aren't as reliant on him anymore, which I think is kind of the best case scenario at this point in his career. But yeah, I mean, Look, man, if Looney starts bombing threes, this team will win the title. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, probably not happening, but I can wish it into existence. And I will say, like, just on the playoff thing, he's going to play more than you think. I'm looking at the rotation right now. All right, Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph. They're going to play basically as many minutes as humanly possible with fatigue factored in. That's the three guys that you're building around. Pods and Moody are going to play a ton around them. Guy Santos is playing himself into the rotation.
Man,
Quentin Post's going to have a hard time defensively. I think he's not going to, but they need his shooting. There's no other way around it. They need his shooting. So he's going to probably get spot minutes here or there. And it's going to be a lot of like throw him out there. And then when the defense picks on him, get him out of the game. And it might be, 9 minutes in a game type of guy, right? Like it's the way it's going. And then Buddy Hield's going to get it because he's just their best shooter off the bench and he competes his ass off. He's going to play. And so what that comes down to is I just think Looney's going to end up playing a ton because he's reliable. He'll stick to the game plan. He has at least one trait, if not two traits that translate to any series. Like he's an elite rebounder against any team. He's a smart defender against any team. And like, look, I don't know where GP2 is going to be. I don't know where Kuminga is going to be in this thing. Like you know who Steve trusts. We're going to get a lot of Looney.
Yeah. And it felt like, I thought it was really interesting tonight. They played it like a playoff game from a rotation standpoint, dude. And maybe not necessarily the exact minute distribution, but 48 seconds left in the first quarter.
Yeah, there was no like Kevin Knox. Let's give him 5 minutes to like get to 12 men in the rotation, right?
Yep.
It was like we're playing our 8.5.
8.5 guys, 48 seconds left in the first quarter. Steve brings Steph and Draymond back in to close out the quarter properly. You know what I mean? Whereas he's never doing that in game 45 of the season.
Right.
But they all kind of realize it's go time now. But yeah, we saw, like you said, 8.5 guys tonight-ish, right around there. And in the playoffs, it'll be 9. It won't really be more than that. And it's going to be interesting to see who those guys are because you could argue, 9 played tonight. GP obviously has an argument for a lot of playoff minutes. If
he's going to play, he's going to play if his hand's okay. But he's just like, come on, man, he's unreliable. Like I don't really know what to. I know if he's healthy, he'll play, but like it's hard to imagine him playing over 20 minutes because of how in and out of the lineup he is. And like at this stage, who knows how available he's going to be in general. It's just looking at the last 4 years, even during the title year, and that wasn't his fault, Dylan Brooks with the dirty play, but like it's just kind of who GP2 is to a degree where he's just in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, Dylan broke the code. No, but I'm honestly I'm really interested to see where the rotation ends up by the playoffs because there's really I'd say 11 guys who have an argument for minutes, right? Knox isn't going to play, Trace isn't going to play, Pat Spencer's not going to play, but GP and JK are obviously going to have somewhat of an argument for minutes. How many, where, against who, what opponent, all that stuff's to be determined, but not all 11 guys are going to play in every series. So maybe it's a series by series thing if they can win a couple, but I think that really is the most important, or the most interesting question I should say going on the stretch here is like, who really starts to win those minutes battles? Because like, I honestly, with the way Guy's playing, and he didn't make shots tonight, he only scored 4 points, but the guy just competes his ass off, and he's always in the right spot. He fouls a little bit too much, and that's annoying, but you're not going to have to question where his head or his heart's at. And I think that's generally the most important thing around this core three that you have with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond.
6 rebounds. 6 rebounds in 18 and a half minutes. I mean,
and he probably got his hands on 4 other rebounds that he tipped to somebody else.
Yeah, he understands his role is to just get every loose ball and hit open shots. Now the open shots part, inconsistent, If he was a knockdown shooter, he's playing 35 minutes. Like, because everyone wants the 4th or 5th man in their lineup to play like Guy Santos, but hit an open shot. And those guys are hard to find. Like guys who just do every little dirty work thing, but also, can hit an open shot on consistency. But yeah, you're right. He's going to play more. Like GP2 is the same way, to be honest, where you're just like, you want him out there because just every time he's out there, positive things happen. Getting a loose ball, a deflection, cutting at the right time, just constantly making these little plays that win possessions. But, in GP2's case, it's the shot's been inconsistent his whole career, even though he's been super hot recently. And then secondarily, 6'2" guy who's banging with like 6'10" guys. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised he's always hurt either. So
Yeah, a lot of that's not even GP's fault, like you're saying. Like he's
no,
just,
it just is what it is.
I mean, Fitz can get like so corny with this stuff, but he calls GP2 the little big man, and that's what he is. He's essentially playing the four, particularly on offense, and that's just you are going to be injury prone in that scenario. But I think the nicest thing about what they've kind of established here when they're fully healthy is they do have options they can toggle between, which has actually not been the case in the past couple of years, where it felt like they were stuck with like 7 or 8 guys that they could play. And beyond that, it was just kind of a crapshoot. And there's still always somewhat of that as you get deeper into your bench. But it feels like they have realistically 10 or 11 guys, depending on matchup or how where their confidence level is at and how many other factors. It feels like they have that many guys who could realistically give you at least something in a playoff series. And I think that's one of the more exciting things about this team outside of, obviously bringing Jimmy on.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's I think it's time to talk about my favorite sponsor, maybe. My guys over at Via. Remember when you could function on 4 hours of sleep? Yeah, those days are gone. But don't worry, because Via's got something to help you sleep like a log. 500,000 happy customers cannot be wrong. Via is changing the game in natural wellness, combining high-quality hemp-derived ingredients with powerful cannabinoids to create real effect-driven results, not just fancy packaging and empty promises. And here's the best part. Via lets you customize the experience. Whether you're looking for daily wellness, laser focus, or deep relaxation, Via has it. With products ranging from 0 to 100 cannabinoids, they've got options for everyone. We're talking award-winning effect-forward gummies to calming drops, all made with organic, lab-tested hemp from trusted, independent American farms. None of that mystery gas station nonsense. So if you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description and use the code LIGHTYEARS to receive 15% off. To receive 15% off and free shipping on orders over $100. And if you're new to Via, you get a gift free of choice. All you got to do is select Light Years when you go to purchase, and that is the best way to support our show. So enhance your everyday with Via.
Guys, I'm here to tell you about Timeline. Cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. The MitoPure supplements, you can support your health and enjoy cellular renewal. MitoPure recharges your cells, supporting any goals by helping your system work better. With MitoPure, you'll feel the difference in your energy levels, your workouts, your endurance, and your recovery. MitoPure is the only supplement on the market clinically proven to target the effects of age-related cellular decline, the number one issue in my life right now. I've taken MitoPure supplements, and I can tell you it's been a game changer. My workouts are better. I feel like I have a lot more energy. God knows I don't sleep, so I need it. I can rest well knowing I'm taking care of my health. It's once a day. It's easy to take. You'll thank me later. Guys, right now, Timeline is offering 10% off your MitoPure order with the code LIGHTYEARS. Timeline.com/LightYears. That's timeline.com/LightYears. Our guy McWalters with a good question here. Can the Warriors get to the 4 seed? It's standings time, baby. It's good. By the way, have you looked at every team's schedule? Dude,
yeah.
Like the Warriors. Okay, so everyone listening to this knows Warriors Thursday night, Nuggets Friday night, which is they're going to lose that one for sure. Just the back-to-back with those two teams is garbage. And then Rockets on Sunday. But if you look at the Rockets schedule, they played the Lakers last night. Mm-hmm. They're going to play the Warriors. They're going to play the Nuggets. They're going to play the Grizzlies. It feels like everyone in the West is playing a round robin of all those teams. Their schedules are rough in general, which is to say, I don't expect the Warriors to have to win every game this way on out, but it's a wild finish to the season for the West. And I expect every team in the Western standings to drop at least 2 games. So back to McWalter's question, can the Warriors get to the 4 seed?
I think they would have to beat the Lakers on Thursday to have any realistic shot at that, because the Lakers already have the tiebreaker. Unfortunately, the Lakers have won 3 out of 4. So Warriors can't get that tiebreaker. You'd have to drop them to 30 losses there, and then you'd only be 1 back in the loss column, but you'd essentially need to get to 1 less loss than them. You know, it's funny. The teams that probably have the 2 easiest schedules in the West right now, remaining in the top 8, are the Timberwolves and the Clippers. They have pretty soft schedules coming down the stretch. So you're not expecting
Although
either one.
they also have to play the Warriors, they also play the Rockets, they have to play the Nuggets. So it's like I just feel like they're all just playing each other. The schedule is working out in a weird way.
Yeah, very bizarre way. I mean, I think the league probably kind of knew who the playoff teams were going to be, and they probably set it up this way, or at least there was some intentionality behind it. But tonight was so important to get this win. I said it earlier. Number one, now you've won the tiebreaker against Memphis, so they would have to be one loss better than you in this or one win better than you, however you want to phrase it. And they've created, obviously, their floor isn't 6, but you've started to create a somewhat soft floor of 6 for the most part. You have the tiebreaker over the Timberwolves as well. You don't have the Clippers one, but you play the Clippers the last game of the season as the Warriors. So, like you're saying, they're all just kind of playing each other. And could they get to 4? Absolutely. They absolutely could, because the Lakers' schedule is not easy. They got the Warriors, then they got the Pelicans, but then they got the Thunder back-to-back in OKC. Both games in OKC, and OKC could rest guys one of those games, but they could also be chasing 70 wins at that point. And they're young. Do they really want to give their guys 2.5 weeks off? Do they need to? I don't think so. So the Lakers could drop a couple games pretty quickly here. It's all so much still in flux. And I can't remember there was a playoff race like this last time, especially if you're talking seeds really 2 through 8. Like, could the Rockets could drop to the play-in? Is it going to happen? Most likely not, but that's still a possibility. Nobody besides the Thunder has clinched a playoff spot yet in the West. And last time this happened, it was probably 15 years ago, and there was no play-in. So it's an incredibly interesting playoff race. It's going to be an insane playoffs. Like, every team in the West could win a first-round playoff series. I truly believe that.
Yeah, no, they can keep moving on it. Do I think they'll get to 4? Probably not. Like, I think every team above them is going to play serious basketball. Like, they would need the Lakers or the Nuggets to get an injury of substance the last 2 weeks, and then they go into we just need to be healthy in 2 weeks, and we're willing to fall from 3 to 6 type of situation. Otherwise, it's hard to imagine that happening. I think, though, staying in the 4-5 game is realistic. And what's going to be interesting for me with the Warriors is it's still too early, but if we get to this time next week and it's more advantageous to them to fall to 6, do they start messing with their lineups to do so? Too early to say. I don't think you can actually think about that stuff until, we got to get another week away, realistically.
And genuinely, I don't know if that's going to be a possibility, because I don't see the Clippers losing more than 1, maybe 2 games at most before they get to the Warriors for the last game of the season. So you're asking for almost perfection out of this Warriors team up to that point to even be in a position where you can kind of jockey the standings a little bit. And just knowing who these guys are, knowing who Steve is, knowing who Steph is, Draymond, Jimmy, they're not scared of anybody. Obviously, there's matchups they would like more. Like, if internally, they're never going to admit that publicly. That's just not who they are. They're going to say, bring on whoever it is. But I also just don't see them, unless there's reason to, like a little minor injury, something happens, like, and there's a reason to rest a guy. I just don't see them playing it out like that. I think they're going to push this thing through the finish line. They're going to do everything they can, obviously, to stay out of the play-in. And then you get that really nice week off. And I've said it, ad nauseum at this point until I'm blue in the face. It's so important for this team to get that week off, especially those 3 older guys. And just, like, not have to deal with, obviously, the stress mentally of the play-in, but just the extra physical toll that it would take on this team.
I can't see a scenario where they're willingly falling to 7 to get an easier draw.
Never.
I could see them deciding to not play guys on the last game of the season because they'd rather be the 6 than the 5. I can't see them going 7 to 6, putting an extra game on these guys' bodies. Like, their core is older. They don't want to. To the chat, we're taking questions, so send them forward. Here's a good one from a guy, Ratty F. Would you rather get OKC in the Western Conference Finals or the semifinals? So basically, would you rather face OKC earlier or later? Here's the second question, but let's do them one at a time.
I would rather face them earlier, because it's a young team. They're relatively, they'll probably be fresher than you no matter what, just because they have younger legs. And the more playoff series they win, the more confidence they will gain. As a group, as a core group, this OKC team has won 1 playoff series. 1. They beat.
And by the way, that was a shaky series against a crappy
Mhm.
Pelicans team.
Against a banged up Pelicans team. And then, they lost to Dallas in the second round. So I think the earlier you can see them, the better. Whereas if you get them in the Western Conference Finals, they're going to have to beat. I mean, they're going to have to beat a good team in any round. Really, it could be really anybody. It's impossible to say at this point, but let's say they play the Grizzlies or the Timberwolves or the Clippers in round one. That's a good team that they would have to beat to get out of round one. And then they're going to have to play either the Lakers, Nuggets, or Warriors in round two if the standings kind of stay where they're at right now. And those would be confidence builders.
I think the other part of it is, what does youth give you? It gives you physical advantage.
Yeah.
You're not going to wear them down physically. You're going to outsmart them. And the longer a series go, or the longer the playoffs goes, the more likely the Warriors are going to be tired, and the more likely those youthful legs and energy are just going to win in general. So I'd rather take on them earlier for the same reasons you list. See what happens. You're gonna have to probably go through them no matter what. So I'd rather end up on the 4 or 5 side of the draw and just try to, face them in the second round, let them face their demons. They haven't been beyond the second round and they're facing 4-time champions. Let's see what happens if they drop a game in Oklahoma. Do they have the mental toughness to come back from it? Like, they're going to have to face those questions. If they do go all the way, which they should do because of how good they are, their record and everything, this will be the note in their championship DVD or whatever you call it about like beating the old champions, that sort of thing. They're going to have to do it. I'd rather face them earlier than later, though.
God, man, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but God, I want that matchup. I want that
I do too.
OKC match.
I've been saying it for months.
So bad.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've talked about it, but I think it's a good matchup for the Warriors, number one. Obviously, they're an incredible team. Not trying to take anything away from them, but they haven't really proven anything yet. And the Warriors have already beaten them two out of 3 times this year, and that was without Jimmy Butler. And the Hartenstein piece of it adds a different dimension that the Warriors really haven't seen yet. Like, he's an awesome player. That was maybe outside of like a star signing, that was maybe the best signing of the summer, in my opinion.
Very smart move. Like, he addressed something they just sorely didn't have anywhere on the roster.
Yep. So that adds a different element, a different wrinkle to the series, just to the matchup, I should say. But man, I want to see them in the playoffs because it would just be, especially because given Steph and Trey specifically, just the history with seeing OKC and all the matchups they had even outside of the playoffs. So it's going to bring a little bit extra out of them in general. And obviously they would get some pride and some joy of knocking out, a team that might win 68 to 70 games.
Yeah. Someone else is asking about Denver and the Lakers. Going to get to it in a minute. I want to get to the second part of Roddy's question here. Huge if the Warriors got to the finals, I love these type of questions. Just fun. Would you rather face Cleveland or Boston?
Really torn on this one.
Oh, I'm not.
I mean, in my opinion, Boston.
Actually, no, I'm torn now. So.
In my opinion, Boston is the better team. Like, they've proven it.
Correct.
They're defending champs. They are better. They are a much better team than they were 3 years ago when they faced the Warriors in the finals. More seasoned, more mature. They've added better pieces. But at the same time, man, I would love to go into the Boston Garden again and take down the Celtics. Like, that was one of the best feelings I've ever had as a basketball fan, doing it there against that Boston crowd, all the history that has to go along with the Celtics, most championships in NBA history, all that stuff. So I'd rather see it. Was the easier matchup, Cleveland. But what's more fun? Boston.
I will say, considering their battles with the LeBron Cleveland teams, for Cleveland to get back to the finals with a new cast, which how they feel. They feel validated and vindicated, being like, LeBron, you're one of the best of all time, but we don't need you. We can build a winner without you, which is how I would feel if I was a Cavs fan, to be clear. It wouldn't be a disrespect thing. It's just the amount of time that he kind of held their feet over the fire and was like, I'm going to leave because you're not good enough for me type of thing. I would feel especially we can build a winner without you, buddy. To have to face the team and the same players, at least the core, that would make me very mad if I was a Cavs fan. Very mad. And then if they were to beat me, I would be incredibly angry. And that is attractive to me. I'm not gonna lie.
And it would be funny. It would be funny to have 4 of the 5 finals wins against Cleveland. If they get to 5 this year and they beat Cleveland, It would just be kind of this weird anomaly in the history of sports where for the five
There'd be
times to
some
win a title.
kid. There'd be some kid who looked at Basketball Reference in 30 years and assumes it was all against LeBron. It's like, well, no, the first three against LeBron, and then this was like it's Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. It's a different thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of
And,
it's
and
kind of funny.
you know what's funny about that matchup though is like Cleveland has kind of beaten the shit out of the Warriors the last couple of
Yeah,
years. Like,
I was gonna say the reason I want Boston more is for whatever reason, teams that build a small ball identity. Not for I can tell you why. It's Draymond. The Warriors match up better with
mhm.
Boston because of that. It's just the flip side of it is I don't know who guards Steph on Cleveland. Like it's just small guards across the board. So I don't know. It's a fun one. I think I'm with you though. I think the allure of the Garden and
Mhm.
like you beat them, they won a title. Now the boogeyman's back. I don't know. Steph in the Garden's very fun. I'm not gonna lie.
And the
It's a lot. It's fun.
it's one of the most fun, like outside of like maybe like OKC or like Cleveland, like it's a very short list of places I'd rather see Steph play. But and
Mhm.
there's also the Jimmy element of it all. Like
Oh yes.
Jimmy has been an absolute boogeyman for the Celtics. Like they've beaten him before too. They beat him in 2022 to get to the finals. But obviously he got him in the bubble. He got him again in 2023. And he's just kind of been like a thorn in their side. And watching like Steph and Jimmy go head to head against those guys that have like legitimate PTSD against those
Mhm.
two, it would be, I mean, it'd be peak entertainment in my opinion.
Plus, did you see Derek White saying, Draymond changed his career?
Yeah.
Thank you for changing my life. I just,
I'm
I don't. I just
I'm
feel like the
literally
Warriors
just
are.
Draymond Green.
I feel like I feel like they're in their head a little bit. I don't know. They're a great team. If I had to take my Warriors glasses off, and you told me the Warriors aren't going to win, I would probably bet Boston to win it all. So
Mhm.
and it's not a disrespectful thing to them. It's just like I don't know. I feel like the Warriors have it over on them a little bit, but I'm feeling myself. So let's get into some fun topics here from our guy Rob. Do the Warriors win this game if Kuminga plays more than 15 minutes?
Why are you doing this, man? Why are you doing this to
they
me right now? I'm trying to
don't
stay in
win
a
if they don't
I'm
win if Kuminga plays. I'm sorry.
I don't think so either. I mean, I
They
don't
didn't
think
have possessions to give away, dude. They just didn't have them to give away tonight, and they haven't figured out how to play with Kuminga. Let me do it. You can be the nice guy. Um, they don't know how to fit him into their offense right now. It doesn't matter against the Sacramento Kings because the Kings don't know how to defend, don't have any sort of coherent game plan. I don't know why I'm picking on actually I do know why I'm picking on the Kings, but like I'm just using them as a stand-in for a bottom third team, right? The Grizzlies are a well-coached side, even firing half the coaching staff.
yeah.
That was a well-coached, very good team. They knew how they wanted to attack the Warriors. Every Warriors bucket they leaked out. They pushed the Warriors in transition, tried to expose their age, tried to take advantage of any form of just kind of like not being locked in there. And Kuminga's still very much figuring it out. So, yeah, if the minutes that went to Guy Santos, who plays like his head's on fire, went to Kuminga, who often does not play like that, yeah, that might be the difference in the game. I think it's really that simple. Like they're not good enough to give away 15 minutes of possessions figuring it out. And that doesn't mean he can't help them at some point. I'm just saying today they're not ready for him.
Yeah, I wonder how it looks on Thursday because Kerr said good chance Kuminga's back on Thursday against the Lakers. How do the minutes get distributed? Like what direction do they go? Does Post lose minutes? Does Gee lose minutes? Does Buddy lose minutes? Like how do they work through all of this? Because it
Mhm.
really, I mean, I had my moment with it on the last podcast, that's for sure. At least the last one I was on. And so against the Pelicans, and yeah, I just it's just been such a mixed bag to put it nicely since he came back post Jimmy trade. And I just don't really know what it's gonna look like, man. Like I have zero feel for what it's gonna look like when he's out on the floor with this group of guys because it looks so coherent. And even when they're not
I
getting
just think he's
stops
done,
great, and
man.
yeah,
I'm not
even
even
go ahead.
I know I like Kuminga more as a prospect than you or Andy, and maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's me projecting. But like, I don't necessarily look at it as I'm down on his career. I just come on, man. They got 8 games left. They're in a dogfight, and he's so far away from fitting into it. Like, yeah, can he help them when they play the Spurs next week? Sure. they play the Lakers on Thursday. They play the Nuggets on Friday. They play the Rockets on Sunday. Like, we can keep going down the line. Like, this isn't really the time to experiment, and that's just where I'm at with it. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it changing. Like, that's what's really unfortunate about his injury. If he was back when Jimmy came in, there was more runway to figure it out. Well, he missed the first 15 games of a 13-2 run. Didn't really fit in when he came back, and then kind of got hurt again. Like, this isn't the time.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, they probably will need him to play some big minutes in one of these next 3 games, because it's 3 games in 4 nights. Like it's a back-to-back with the Lakers and the Nuggets, and you go and play the Rockets on Sunday. And Nuggets are at home, Rockets are at home. Lakers are the last game of the road trip. But they probably will need him. Maybe they'll need him against the Lakers just to match up with some of those bigger wings, and you would hope he could fill that role. But I was optimistic before he came back, and that optimism has like slowly just dwindled with every game.
Like, I'm more optimistic if they get to the off season and figure out an extension with him and don't move him. I'm like more optimistic about him being a very valuable piece for them all of next year. But dude, it's April, and they have a different team since February 8th, which is Jimmy's first game. It just kind of feels like he's going to be put on ice. There'll be some moments, but I'm not particularly optimistic going forward. Steph had more defensive rebounds than Draymond, probably because Memphis takes a bunch of threes, but still underrated part of Steph's game.
Mm-hmm.
Also, always just like, not to keep going back to Kuminga, but like, this is also kind of why rebounding matters more for guards, wings in the modern NBA than it probably did 15 years ago, because everyone takes a ton of threes. So just like the GP2, the Guy Santos, just guys who have a nose for the ball in those situations matter more than kind of your big man rebound. Well, I mean, it all matters, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, and that's why Pods is so valuable, because he did not play great tonight, but I just thought he might not. I think he only had 5 rebounds, but it felt like he was just around the ball so much when it was coming off the rim, deflecting it to somebody else, putting a body on somebody to make sure somebody else got the rebound. And I think that's actually a big reason why the Warriors' small lineup has worked with this Steph, Pods, Moody, Jimmy, Dre configuration, is because despite the fact that they are small, number one, they're super connected defensively. They don't spring a ton of leaks. And number 2, basically everybody is a good to great rebounder for their position. And if they're not that, I'd say Moody is maybe the only guy that isn't. He's at least getting a body on somebody, and he's hardly ever he's hardly ever not in the right spot. And I mean, Steph's always been an elite rebounder for his size, though. And I think he had like 5 or 6 in the first quarter. He was so locked in tonight, man. Like, you could tell from the opening tip, him and Draymond both.
Yeah, I agree. I want to go to this one from our guy, James. How many times did 30 get fouled tonight? Old topic, I know, but seemed extreme tonight. Is Memphis versus Golden State always going to be this way? Or is yours?
Number 1, yes, it is always going to be this way. Ja Morant turns into Steph Curry light, apparently, every time he sees the Warriors. I mean, that was maybe Ja's best game all year. He has not been great this year. He had 5 threes.
Maybe he's right to get the coach fired then.
Yeah, I think that's some of it. I think he's motivated. I think he wants to prove that he was, right in how he felt about Taylor Jenkins. But yeah, it is. These two teams, they just don't like each other. It's not a full-blown rivalry, but there is definitely some bad blood that is shared by both sides. Like, Ja is Ja, but you see him walking off the court at the end of the game, like shooting guns at the Warriors bench. You know what I like? These teams, which is just ridiculous. And how did Buddy Hield get a technical on that? That's an entirely different conversation. The rest were just atrocious.
I should go with the original thumbnail.
That should never see the light of day. But no, I mean, I think this matchup is always going to be this way. But I mean, Steph shot 6 free throws out of maybe 8 by the end of the game. He could have shot 15 easily. And like James said, it's an old topic, but I mean, they were all over. And I mean, I could think of 3 or 4 instances in specific where he didn't get a call where he should have, but it felt like he legitimately could have shot 15 to 20 tonight if the rest were on top of it.
Yeah. And I kind of, The Grizz to me have little brother vibes where they both annoy me, but I also like really enjoy them
Mhm.
because they come for the Warriors. They want to beat the Warriors. It matters to them. It matters to Ja. It matters to Jaren. Uh, it
Bane.
matters. I assume it matters to Desmond Bain. He just doesn't talk. So, but like they have a young team. They want to beat the Warriors. They've not hidden the fact that they want to beat the Warriors. And they put together some great games here. So it's fun. It's fun to get one over on them, but also it's just great basketball. Like if this was every NBA game, we wouldn't have dumb discussions about the ratings and the league in decline. Like this is NBA basketball at its best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean they're annoying, like you said, massive little brother vibes. They're really like they are annoying as fuck, but at the same time, there is like an amount of respect because like they don't back down. Like they show this is their absolute Super Bowl. Every time they play the Warriors, it is their Super Bowl, and they hardly it's very rare that they don't show up and play well. It takes
Mhm.
the Warriors B plus to A effort every time to beat this Grizzlies team.
Yeah. All right, we got another question for guy Paratosh. Might be the last one for the night. How confident are you guys the Warriors being able to beat the Nuggets or the Lakers in the playoffs? I'm pretty confident being able to beat anyone apart from these two. I mean, I've said it on pods in general. My preference would be to not play these teams in the first round, just because I think they'll be the toughest ones. I do think the Warriors can beat any team in the West. My concern with the Warriors, beyond like size and a couple other things, is when you're an older team, you want to maximize your odds, which means you don't want to set up the scenario where it's like Nuggets, Lakers, Thunder, Celtics. That's
Yeah.
4 dogfight series. That's how Jimmy and Steph look 37. And, we're sitting here going like, yeah, have the legs to go the whole way. You want to kind of get a lucky series in there. Lucky is not even the right word. You want to get a series in there that's a 4 to 5 gamer against a team you overmatch. You kind of, you're hoping a Lakers and a Nuggets go against each other. So one of them takes each other off. Nobody likes to say the Warriors got lucky in 2022. And I'm not going to say that they didn't deserve anything they got, but part of the win was an advantageous path. A terrible Nugget side without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter, easy money. The Grizzlies were tough.
Mhm.
Dallas beat the better Phoenix side, although I don't know if Phoenix was all that good, to be honest with you. But that was a young, happy to be there Dallas team versus the we expect to win the title Phoenix Suns team.
The Suns would have been a tougher matchup.
Sure. I don't know. It's Chris Paul. I don't know if I really buy that. But you know what I'm saying? Record wise, seed wise, like in theory, they should have been a tougher matchup, right? And then you go against Boston, and those things matter. It allows Steph to not have to play 45 minutes a game every series. I want to say the Dallas series, he was playing 32 minutes a game. 32 minutes a game in the Western Conference Finals is a joke. But you know why he had legs in game 4 against Boston? Because he didn't have to go 40 plus minutes a game for 7 games in the Western Conference Finals. So like these things add up. So this is me politely trying to say like, yeah, I'd rather not place both of them in the first round.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see obviously either Memphis or Houston over that. But I am actually, and we've touched on this a little bit over the past couple months. I'm actually more confident than I was prior against the Lakers. And it's not because AD's a better player than Luka. It's because of the specific matchup issues that AD presented.
Even with the whistle that Trace Leches gets?
I know. They get one of the craziest whistles of all time. But I just feel like when AD was there, he was able to muck up their offense at such a level.
Yeah.
He turned everything away at the rim. And he was so good at obviously the Lakers are going to, high side everything. They're going to top block everything and they're going to force Steph to go to the weak side and try to find shots like that. AD was so good at being able to kind of chase the weak side for just long enough and then get back and cover the rim. They just don't have that anymore. I mean, I guess you can play Jackson Hayes. LeBron stepped it up defensively a little bit because they've actually taken some ball handling off of his plate. They're giving the ball to Austin Reeves more. They're giving it to Luka more, obviously. But I feel like they can cause some more issues. The Lakers are more switchable now. I would say like a little bit more. AD can switch. Don't get me wrong, but it's more wings, right? Like you could kind of just put a lineup of 5 wings out there, and you kind of just there's no real rim protector, but you can just kind of like keep everything on the perimeter. But you know what? I'd like to get Steph ISO'd against Luka 10 times a game, or against Austin Reeves, or get Jimmy a matchup in the post against Austin Reeves. Like they're just a little bit more vulnerable on that side of the ball. They're going to be tougher to stop. There's no doubt about that. But I think I'm slightly more confident in that matchup than I was prior to the trade. And the Nuggets, I just don't have a lot of faith in them right now. Like Jokic is a problem. He's probably the best player in the world, or at the very least top 2. It's him and SGA, I'd say at this point, if we're talking over an 82-game season. But at the same time, they just have not looked good for months now. And they're going to be vulnerable defensively. They have not been a good defensive team all year. Steph can really expose Jokic in that matchup. Jimmy can find some matchups that he likes. They're still a good team, but they're not very deep. They're relying on a lot of Russell Westbrook. We know how that looks in the playoffs. I mean, Christian Brown has been good this year, but do you really trust him in a intense playoff series? Is Julian Strawther going to have to play? Is Zeke Naji going to be out there? They're just not very deep.
Too much Zeke Naji talk. I agree with you. My concern with the Nuggets is Aaron Gordon is a problem for the Warriors, because the Warriors are going to play small all playoffs. Obviously, they're going to mix in posts when they can, but I expect the minutes to be minimized because of defense and being younger. But the one thing they do is they get you into space. So wings who can hang in space with Draymond but have a physical advantage on him, there's not a lot of them, but Aaron Gordon's one of them. So like his ability to crash the offensive glass against Warriors small ball lineups is a problem, right? Like there are things that they can do to muck up the Warriors. I agree with you. They're not going to be able to stop the Warriors. They're like the Jamal Murray, Jokic pick and roll. You can't really ask for Steph to get better opportunities in a playoff series, and then you just kind of live with it. If Steph is Steph, he's going to take advantage of it. And if he doesn't, like we're not going to sit here and go like, Steve Kerr, why did you drop a pick and roll against someone else? It's like, that's the matchup you want, right? Like that sort of thing. But I do worry about their size with the Lakers. I'm not going to lie to you. It's the whistle voodoo bothers me. It does. I just don't want to deal with it. Everything you said about Luka and Reeves and the Warriors' ability to pick on defensive vulnerabilities, I believe everything you're saying. It's all logical. But the whistle bothers me. It just does. The voodoo's in my head. I'm not gonna lie. So
that's why it would be nice to get the 4 seed if that's going to be the matchup with the Lakers, if it's 4 or 5, So at least you get that extra home game to ward off some of the voodoo. Because I feel like it's always bad, but I feel like it's always particularly egregious as Staples Center. It's the Staples Center, by the way. It'll never be Crypto.com or whatever the hell the name of it is. But it's always absurd there. Like there will be a game where Austin Reeves and Luka shoot 34 combined free throws.
I also have a selfish want of, I want that in the Western Conference Finals. I just do. I think like the prestige of it, the pageantry, they're both older sides. They're both going to be tired. Like I just want to see it at that point. It feels lame to me to have it in the first round. It's like having your dessert before you have your meal. Shout out our guy, Jimmy. I just don't like it. I want to see them build to it. I want them on opposite sides of the draw. I think it would be awesome. And I do think the Warriors can beat the Lakers, and I would pick them. Shocker. I'm going to pick them, but I really want it later in the playoffs. So maybe all I'm saying is like a bunch of stuff of me just, I think it would be so lame if they played in the 4-5, even though it's a highly likely scenario at this point. I just don't want that in the first round.
Yeah, it would be anticlimactic for sure. I mean, and it would be fun, for thinking best case scenario here, you beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals and you play Boston in the finals and you beat them. Like that would be sure. That's about as historic as it gets.
No, it'd be fun. And like the lame NBA scenarios, Warriors and Lakers in the first round. Meanwhile, you got like Grizzlies, Rockets going at each other, and the Clippers, and it's like no one gives a shit about any of this stuff. So
yeah, if Adam can do anything to doctor that, he will. Like that, he doesn't want that scenario.
Please, Adam.
Yeah, he obviously wants Lakers Warriors at some point, but I don't think if he can have his pick, he doesn't want it in the first round. That's for sure.
Yeah. We'll see. A lot of standings to go. A lot of stuff to go. Be back Thursday night.
One final note for the people here before we stop. Warriors are now 18-2 with Steph and Jimmy in the lineup. The last time they had an 18-2 stretch, I think everybody knows, the start of the 21-22 season.
Ooh. Oh,
How'd that
that's
end?
a good one.
How'd that end?
That's a good one. I like it. I like where we're going with this one. All right, we're ending on that. Everyone have a great evening.